I was like, okay, YouTube podcasts, okay, make a playlist, do the live stream replays, do this, that. Like I had all these different things written from here over. This is all podcast. I wrote that down in like 5 minutes. So I'm extremely excited because YouTube's coming out with podcasts, and what this means for me is I'm going to bring my podcast back, but have it on the YouTube channel here as well. There's a lot of different things, and I'm extremely excited. I've been writing them down in my notebook. The notebook has been extremely helpful in that when I've been excited and I've been writing these things down, when I'm excited I get to all over the place. I lose my train of thought all the time. So having the notebook to keep my brain semi-organized, or at least to get stuff out on paper. If I get really excited and forget, I can always go back and reference it. Having that as a resource has been really, really helpful because I'm just going. My brain is so excited. I'm like, but I'm good because I have the notebook to write stuff down. So I keep track. Going back to the office now, but this time I have candy. We're back, gang. I don't know if you guys have had these before. The like chewy sweet tarts. They are so freaking good. So this week's vlogs have all pretty much been about this book. Instead of using my phone to write everything down and get distracted, I've been using this book to write down my ideas, thoughts, whatever comes to me that I don't want to lose. Whereas this, it's better for retention because I write it down. And my intention was each video to like make a different point. The first one was just kind of general, and then yesterday was about decluttering my brain, not having so many different ideas all at once, but making sure to get them down. That way I can allow myself to sort of come up with different ideas as well and not be afraid to lose them too. Today's is similar. It's not really, today's is more, I'm so excited for the YouTube podcast thing, which I'm gonna talk a little bit more about. I had so many different thoughts right then and there at that moment that I had to write them down to get them on paper to allow for a more fluid flow of thoughts, of ideas to come to. I was like, okay, YouTube podcasts, okay, make a playlist, do the live stream replays, do this, that. Like I had all these different things written from here over. This is all podcast. I wrote that down in like 5 minutes. So I had a ton of different thoughts, a ton of different ideas flowing all at once. Getting them on paper kept me from being distracted and losing those ideas. Okay, so I said I was going to talk a little bit more about the podcast. Here's my plan. For starters, let me explain kind of what they actually did. Essentially, YouTube released a feature that you could have podcasts on your channel as a separate type of content. So, for example, you have your videos, then you have your shorts, and then now you can have your podcast. And so how someone would make a podcast is fairly simple. Go to your YouTube channel, you would just add a podcast, literally just add a podcast. You could use existing videos, make it a playlist. As a general concept, it's pretty simple to do. So I was doing a little bit of YouTube digging and research about it this morning, and I was watching a video and somebody said that this is what kind of jump-started my whole idea. They said that you could turn your live streams into a podcast. So that got me to thinking. One of my goals was to start consistently live streaming on this channel. I had a couple of different ideas. I would do like live editing, I would do live thumbnails, I would do a live podcast. That was one of the ideas. I had never actually gone and done it, but here's the chance. So what does this mean? What am I going to be doing? So what I'm going to be doing is adjusting the live streams a little bit, and it's going to be for the better, I think. So like I said, I started out doing the editing streams, and those are great. I love doing those, but for the general viewer, it's not as entertaining unless you're either into me or into video editing in general. So what the plan would be is I would have a discussion topic, and I would go live, and I would just do the live podcast, which would mean bringing back my original podcast, Garrett the Bear Show. So I'm gonna do this podcast live on YouTube. Here's where it gets interesting. So what's gonna happen is I'm going to do the podcast live on stream, but after the stream is over, YouTube, you can set it to where you have your stream replay to be public. I'm going to perform the podcast live. With the software that I use, which is OBS, I can actually stream and record video at the same exact time with all the same settings and everything. So it allows me to record what I'm streaming. So I've recorded a podcast. I've done the stream. It's over. That video gets published automatically to YouTube, and that would go in the podcast playlist or the podcast. And with their new setup, this podcast could be viewed on not only just regular YouTube, but YouTube Music as well. And the podcasts are also going to have all of their own analytics, so it's not going to be like I'm posting a video and then it gets a lot less views than normal. Which brings me to the other podcast, the one that I have on Spotify. So like I said, I'm gonna record an episode of podcast, go live to record it. That way it's on YouTube already, and I have the footage. So I'm gonna take that audio file from the footage that I got while I was live. I'm going to cut it in half, put my Spotify ad read in there, and then put it on Spotify. So as of this point, I've got the podcast that's already on YouTube from the live stream. So we've got YouTube live stream, YouTube podcast, Spotify podcast, and then after all of that has been done, I'm going to create shorts from my regular videos like I've been doing, as well as shorts from the podcast video. But I think overall, this is going to be a really, really good thing. I'm grateful for this notebook because that's what this is all about. That's what this whole video is about, is this. Because this is going to help me get back into my podcast and not go absolutely insane. But with all of that said and done, thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.